There are a lot of kids here. And if we catch you with a homosexual, the rest of your life will be a living hell. And you will be caught. Don't think you won't be caught.
As June comes to a close, I hope to sing a final verse dedicated to the month of Stonewall, and in this attempt to educate in beauty. Within the world around us, there exists a group of individuals pushing against the crowd in favor of personal liberation, no longer defined by the rules of bone and blood, but only by the character within. This is the beauty of being non-binary. As we delve into our muse, first we must look at a word adjacent to the subject at hand, which will help further us in our understanding. Androgyny, a word which is related to non-binary, but is also mutually exclusive from it. Androgyny originates in ancient Greece and can be defined as possessing the physical characteristics of both the masculine and feminine. An ancient example is the Venus de Milo, found in the Louvre Museum. With her squared shoulders, masculine waist, and ambiguous facial features, we see tropes of both the sexes mimicked in marble. For a present representation, I can think of no one better than Jareth, played by the late David Bowie in Labyrinth. With heavy makeup, long hair, and dramatic clothing, the initial onlooker might think Bowie a powerful arc wizard, or perhaps a femme fatale empress. Regardless, it remains to be seen that the masculine and feminine are married and ever present in these characters. Now let us turn our attention back. If androgyny is masculine and feminine characteristics expressed together physically, then being non-binary is possessing the combination of both qualities on the inner level. It reaches beyond the skin and sits in the self, the ego, or the soul. It craves all aspects of the human experience. The non-binary individual is asked to check one of two boxes and fills in a third. They reject the social stigmas placed on society and in doing so choose to be liberated. Being non-binary does not take one style of living, but instead desires them all, both makeup and mud. There are those among the population who exist in a culture that cannot understand this, and to those I must confess that the mix of traits of blush and brazen have existed far longer than you might think. In the early 90s, a girl who collected worms, caught fish, and climbed trees was called the familiar nickname tomboy. They were called the tomboy, even though they were a girl. I'm sure generations prior found this weird turn of phrase, one that promoted untraditional behavior, as you do now with pronouns. In today's time, we've streamlined the nicknames and titles, focusing on pronouns which intrinsically carry the weight of social stigmas, and in this, have created a third category that abides by neither. Still, there are those who reject this. The pushback today against such personal liberation echoes the past. I'd like to take a quick glimpse at the 1950s specifically. Our protagonists are William Burroughs, Allen Ginsberg, and Jack Kerouac, Columbia University dropouts and poets set on opposing economic materialism and sexual repression. Their efforts created the Beat Generation. But what is the Beat Generation, and how did they start? As tension between homosexuals and law grew in the 1950s, Allen Ginsberg published Howl, a book of poems which contained odes to gay love and disdain for capitalism. The masses deemed it sexual repulsion and vulgarness. During its time, it wasn't regarded as poetry, it was porn. Through many attempts, this book was threatened to be banned, and a final decision by the High Judge, Clayton W. Horn, deemed it non-obscene and thus promoted it to the public as important. This movement pushed forward the beatniks, who became the originators of the 1970s hippies who wanted above all else, like us, to be free. The Beat Generation, like the name suggests, was created to show that they are the worn, tired of being forced to conform by their predecessors, and also a reference to the underbeats of a song. They were the overlooked, but ever-present. They were me. They were you. They, as we are now, pushed against tradition with beauty, unconventional but effective, and I can't help but see their movements in our own. Those who see the soul separated from sex, who believe we are not defined by this vessel, and also choose to push against tradition. Being non-binary tells us we are not men, we are not women, we are people, and there's something beautiful in that. I look in the mirror and I ponder who I am beyond my skin, to think beyond my physical limits and to be something more. I'd ask you to do the same in the hopes you'll see more of yourself, and perhaps see the beauty in being non-binary.